All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 8:51. It is August 29th. A lot of people are like Red Dog. Last week you're on vacation. You owe us an extra 6:30/9 o'clock club. So I figured, you know what? I've already did my 40 charts for the Alpha team. I've already got my note out. I've already settled in on, some managing some positions. So I figured let me talk to some of my dogs around the world. So, here I am. Going to give everyone a few minutes to come on in. Little special. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, and I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. Getting up every day at 4:45, getting my day moving. Starts real early. In order to be a successful trader, in my opinion, you got to get up early. You got to do your preparation. You got to get your mind right. So this way you can execute with confidence when things are moving. So with that being said, that's why I feel like I've been able to do this for the last 30 years. I'm an old dog. They call me the red dog, the old dog, whatever it is. What I've been doing is something I like to do, right? You have to develop a routine that you like, otherwise you're never going to do it. So I've been doing the 6:30 club pretty much since 2020 during the pandemic. And I was able to, I guess, add a lot of value considering that I've been, that I lived through the financial crisis. I lived through the tech bubble bursting. What I will say is what I've learned is try and keep your assets. If you long term put money in every single month, just never sell. And historically over time, the bull market wins. If you want to trade for a living, like it's August 29th, and you have your month of August and you look to get paid in September for August or quarterly, you better have a set of rules, which is day count rules, sell rules, moving average rules, know how to, go about chart patterns, know what, when to put risk on, when the trend is intact, when things get faulty, when to put hedges on, what's leading, and what the keys to the day is. Anyway, let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. Actually, I'm going to, put up a chart while you look. How do you guys like this song? By the way, it's not been a jungle out there. It was funny yesterday. I was talking to all the guys, and everyone's like, it's been a friggin' awesome year. You had gold make a big move. You had Bitcoin make a big move. You had Ethereum make a catch-up move. You had Google just made an all-time high. Tesla's giving you some trades. Apple was a great trade this week. People involved in nuclear making money, CCJ, and you have iron, at weekly highs. You have a lot of different things going. You had a nice rotation trade where IWM just had a move. 2 weeks ago, we put XLE on as a power play. There's a lot going on. The only people who aren't happy are the ones who are, oh, this isn't going to end well, and they're shorting and they're going against a trend and they're not involved and they don't know how to educate themselves to figure out what way they're going to approach the tape. But overall, here we are as we head into the holiday week. This is the Qs, by the way. The Qs did not lead this week, which is fine. Okay, I would think where are the Qs this morning? Qs are down 2. Okay, so Qs are a little bit lagging. Okay, so 574.87. This is 5. I would say as long as the Qs can hold yesterday's low, tech is pretty good. We've had a really nice move. Like yesterday was awesome. I don't know about you guys, but if you guys were with me, in the stock spaces, we were talking about Apple. Okay, Apple. We wound up putting on Apple as a power play also. So the guys who signed up for power plays, not power play options, power plays, made some pretty good money considering we bought here. The 5 points in Apple is a decent amount of money. The options we put on from 3 to almost 475 yesterday were also good. And this was like not even a really good trade. It was just like a slow trade. Someone asked about Amazon. Amazon woke up yesterday. Amazon, I've been accumulating calls in this area and finally had a nice push. I would think this goes to 234 to 236, if not more, maybe next week if we hold in there. This has been really good. Congratulations if you made some decent money there. If you remember on Monday, we were talking about Tesla. Tesla right here on this day one. Okay, Tesla gave you a nice day one move right here. We were able to buy on Monday morning in the 6:30 club. We were talking about buying it on a dip and then adding through that high and get a nice move to 355. And now yesterday you have 340. I actually got rid of my remainder yesterday. I was thinking about, playing versatile level. So maybe you could buy Tesla verse 340. Now you can make this a little bit bigger. Now you have a whole new range over here to see if it goes sideways. The news about Europe kind of had it down a little bit yesterday. What up? So by the way, I don't know if you guys could see this, but this is, there's a comment section. So every now and then when we do the 6:30 club normally at 6:30 Monday through Thursday, people bring up some stocks that they're trading, that they're watching, and I kind of go through some of them if I see it, and if I don't see it, sometimes I don't. But so this is what I get to see, so I'm not really talking to myself. Anyway, so we'll see what today brings into the end of August. So with that being said, some people like, do I think Nvidia is gonna digest or be a headwind, or is it gonna you know act better than yesterday? So I looked at Nvidia. We've seen this a bunch of times. It was a little loose and wide yesterday. So I think if Nvidia is just going to hang out and not be like a headwind to this market and other things could trade, I think it holds this 176 and goes sideways. If it becomes a headwind, chances are it breaks 176 to see the 50-day, and then it might give you some clues that some risk is coming down. I'd rather see it just kind of hang out in here and not, just digest the earnings move, let them burn off all the option premium that all the dealers want to make, and then maybe in the next week or two, we get a little bit more clarity on China. So what did I do? I went out a few weeks and I bought $185 calls just to have. So I have a feeling if Nvidia is going to make another leg through this 185 area, it's going to have to come out with some news that they have permission to sell in China. Maybe China and we get a tariff deal, something that'll ignite that move. So listen up for that. There's like $2, $3, $4 billion in revenues they're waiting to make, and that they didn't include in their guidance. So when that happens, it should go. So if you think it's going to happen sooner than later, then maybe buy some options out a month, and then when the stock goes, you could be in the stock and options. Typically, the Alpha team knows when I'm in options, I'm like kind of feeling it out. But if all of a sudden the stock triggers and I go with the stock also, and I'm in options, and we know my thought process turned into a strategy, and you better pay attention. So here's the Alpha team. Right now, what is there? There's like 224 people on here talking about what they're looking at, what they're doing. I've already posted, like, I don't even know. Look at all these charts. You can go through this. I do 40 charts in the morning, and I put different thoughts on it. Like here, so someone's asked me about gold. So this is what I said about gold. Gold channel continues. It's digesting a huge multi-year move. Seems like the next few weeks, gold might clear this, and go. So I put on a call spread right around here. So that's gold. I put comments in for everything. Rivian. Someone's like, why are you in Rivian? Well, Rivian came out with the news about the point-to-point autonomous feature. That's when this happened right here. And I was accumulating in this little area. It looks like it's going to 1440. And when you have Tesla acting okay, then some of the other names. So this isn't a focus. Okay. This is just a chart that I post with, a little bit of, color on. So then someone's like, well, how do you manage your trades with the other things? So I'm like, well, look, it's always a list. Like here's Apple. Apple, so far so good as we re-entered Apple stock and calls on Monday. That was a great trade. And some of the guys on Stocks on Charts did it around 227. It hit 233 to manage, meaning we use our tier system. We take some off. And I do think it could work towards 235. Anyway, so I do have all these things that I'm still managing. I'm short some premium. You get to see everything live, as transparent as possible. I'm not paper trading like most people out there are talking smack. I'm doing it. Yeah. Celsius has been a big trade for this. This whole year. I remember when we were looking at that at $40. But anyway, so Nvidia might not be where the action is. It might just go sideways and continue. Adobe. I haven't looked at Adobe in a while, Patel. So Pete Patel says, take a look at Adobe. Yeah, I don't know. This is like a laggard. It's just, I guess you could say there's a downtrend line here. It's got to get above. What's it doing today? ADBE. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's pretty broken below the moving averages. I wouldn't think it's so great. Someone asked me, what about Palantir? We made good money on Palantir the other day. Right now, it's still in rebuild mode. It corrected. This was the language that I put on there. Most of my guys got out when it broke this upper range up here, 182. Now you have 142, 149, 152, a few lower highs. Some think this is a bear flag to go lower. Palantir, I'm not in. What's it doing? It's down $1.22. I think it could go right to green. I wouldn't press that short. Someone said, look at Amazon. Amazon's only down 21 cents, so that can have a nice push. I did add a little Google earlier this morning, down 3. I'll manage that. I haven't done anything. Apple's already green. Hey, manage positions. Anyway, Fubo, Any thoughts on Baba? I'm in Baba. It's been a pain in the butt. Um, there's a gap to fill up here. Um, Power Plays is an option. That Power Plays is a product where I tell people what to do. A lot of times, my note, they don't want to read the entire note because they have to figure out how to do it themselves, or they don't want to follow the position. They just want me to tell you what to do. We did a webinar meet on a mesh where we have a product where I tell you what to do. So Baba, I tend to be a little bit more conservative than my trading. Baba, we're in calls for next week, so that's going to do really well. We'll see how much of today's gap up holds. We'll see. Fubo. No one said the word Fubo in a while. Someone's it's a little tight, I guess. If you let's see, this was the last time I looked at it. I haven't looked at it in a while, so maybe just get rid of this line now. I would say if Fubo wants to get above this little area, could be good, right? It's fine. I bought this yesterday. SOUN. SOUN has had a big move to 25, just corrected, got a little tight in here, so I'm long it from yesterday. Feel like this is a lower level trade. Not great, but that could make a move there. Steve Grasso recommended Fubo. All right. Anyway, what else is happening? By the way, MSOS was a great trade. Wow. A little bit of a topping tail into this gap. We were buying it down here. Remember when I came in and I showed you guys the Fox News article about Mike Tyson smoking whatever the hell he was smoking and how they were going to put pressure on Trump, and I was buying the $3 calls for MSOS, the MJs, the this and that. Meanwhile, it's a great move, so hopefully made some money there. Oh, you guys like this song? Want to hear it for a second? Hold on. I'll put it on. Some guys like Quantum. I did catch a decent trade in IONQ. I bought this yesterday. Poked its head up above the moving averages. I would think if you have a whole big range here, IONQ kind of gave you a decent move where I was buying it down here. So if you like the quantum names and you want to play the lower end of a range besides the upper end of the range, that's what I think this QUBT could be. I'll probably add to it today. So this is something I feel like you can make some money with. Um, Pretty good. We did that with the XLE, by the way. XLE, look at this. So I want to give you a little lesson before I leave. So XLE has been absolutely horrible the past few years, but I just felt like with the rotation, this and that, it could get going. So we were buying the $86 or $88 calls down here saying, hey, maybe we could buy XLE calls at the bottom end of the range and then hold it until it fails at the upper end. That's what we did here. We bought at the bottom end, it failed. Made money on 2/3, lost in the last. So this time, made money, bull flag, and then added, and now you could sell it. So you buy the low end, you're buying through a downtrend line, you're triple dipping in one trade. That doesn't happen often. So anyway, so sometimes it's different trades. You could buy in the low end of a range, play the middle, and then play for. Sometimes I like to just buy high and sell higher, but sometimes if you have some kind of conviction, you could buy at the low end of the range, sit in it, and then add for the breakout. Anyway, UMAC, it's hanging in here. It's not doing anything special. It's kind of blah. I would, unless you have a thesis on it, I'd be very small there. It's not in play. Netflix is interesting. Netflix, has a nice tight pattern. It's very loose and wide. It trades by appointment. It perked up yesterday. I did buy a little bit yesterday, not a lot. I would hope that it could stay above this spot. And there's a lot of talk about the new show or whatever the hell that is that's been going on that the kids love. So maybe they do it on the holiday. So in order for this to get better, it's got to get above and stay above 1237. Most of my guys are long versus 1192. So it very similar. It's like if you want to play, you buy versus a low end of the range, you stay in it, and then if it gets above a mid end of the range, you're double dipping on it across the board. Anyway, what's wild? Neo? I wouldn't call it wild. It's consolidating after 1,000 times failing. Looks decent. Oh, RR. That was a nice trade. A lot of my guys caught RR down here. What's it doing now? Some people bought the dip yesterday. Is it up? It's up a little bit. Open. What's that doing? It's up a little bit. Listen, guys, you got to pick and choose where you want to, trade. Pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose. Yeah, uranium's been really good. So some people they're in CCJ. CCJ looks like it's breaking out of another move. What a nice trend above the 8 and 21 day. Really nice action here. Looks like it's ready to go after breaking down there. Big trend up this way. All right, listen, have a great weekend. Don't try and screw up your August today into a weekend where you should be friggin', having a little food, finance, fitness, friends, family. That's what I like to do over a weekend. I like to feed the brain. I'm going to take Phoenix out. We're going to go for a nice run. She's been getting better awfully. She's 9 months old. For those of you who love dogs, I love dogs. Listen, for those of you who have not really executed, with confidence, you know what to look for. You could look at charts and you're like, I know Apple. I just, I bought too much on strength. I got stopped out. My mind wasn't right. Well, that's why I created Red Dog Mindset. A way to get your routine strong so you can get your mind right so you can think more efficiently and effectively when everyone who's looking at the same charts, screw it up. Anyway, that starts at 4:45. I do a thing called the 25-20 where I'm in my sauna for 20 minutes doing a small workout that I've developed over the course of the last 20 years while I talk about what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking at. We take some deep breaths. We do some real wellness work, and combine a little bit of the finance aspect of it before the 6:30 Club. And by the way, if you love this 6:30 Club, if you've been tuning in for 5 years, I appreciate you. Just make sure to subscribe above because at some point in the future, the 25-20 is going to combine with the 6:30 Club. And if you missed me last week and you feel like, I had a lot of value, well, you don't want to, miss it forever. And at some point that's going to happen. So make sure to subscribe above. What I'm going to do right now is go and hang out with the Alpha team, which I spend the whole day with. I'm on the radio from 9:30 to 11:30 talking about where the relative strength is, where the relative weakness is. I'm managing my positions and I'm, doing what I got to do. But for the morning, I listen to music and I do all my charts and I get ready for the day. I'd rather listen to the charts and listen to the charts and the music than, listen to financial television, even though I'm on it every now and then. Mister's been a pain in the butt. I will say, you look at IBIT, it had a broken bounce into there. I'd watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been in its little corrective mode. It's acting more faulty than constructive, and we'll see what happens today. Right now, if you look at Bitcoin, I'll leave you with that because, you could trade Bitcoin all weekend if you want. You had a breakout failure here. This is a red dog reversal, right? This is when you trade through and fail. That's what this big candle was. I remember I was long that thinking we were going to continue. We didn't. That was signal one. Then there was no bounce. You came in, held support, got rejected into 117K, made a small bottom, and then got rejected again. So, at this point, Bitcoin has just been in consolidation phase. It's not in leadership phase. Ethereum, which was really good, is kind of showing a little signs that it's getting tired, which is cool. Remember we had the calls in Ethereum down here. It was also a power play option. And anyway, I did sell into strength, and now I'm just trying to see, does this, you could almost make a point that Ethereum is wedging, right? And at some point, we'll see which way this wedge breaks. And then we'll see, if it can come back down here or something. So Kenneth Rosenberg, my dog, what's up there? Rich Tech Robotics on August 27th was notified by a client of competition of a pilot program for the intention to further enter this statement. All right. NDS has been sick. What a crazy move from $1. If you caught that, congratulations. It was a lot better than UMAC. And anyway, today is it's 9:10. I'm just babbling along. By the way, I'm drinking my iced coffee. Could you see iced coffee? And I've already did my 25-20. I've done over 100 push-ups, and now I'm ready to execute. I'm ready to execute with confidence because my mind is right. I control what I can control, and I try and live life with the glass half full. If you look glass is half empty, you better change your perspective because you never know when your number is going to be called, and there's no way to go through life that way. Anyway, maybe around 2 o'clock we could do another one of these. If not, have a great holiday weekend. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. There's lots of different ways you can get some exposure to my experience. You could be on the Alpha team all day long. You could be Redler All Access with the note. You could, just tune in for the 20 minutes at 6:30, where a lot of people from 6:30 turned into awesome community members and subscribers because if I can make money with you for 20 minutes, imagine what you could do all day long. And then we have power plays, and then, the pre game is, the what's it called? Red Dog Mindset, which I've seen thousands of traders come and go. Thousands. Some of the most talented traders in the world, but their mind was off. They made $1 million one year. They went out and bought a house, couldn't afford it, too many cars, and all of a sudden the next year was trickier. They wound up getting frustrated. They got shelled themselves, and they were out of the business. It's about long term. It's about keeping even keel. It's about burning off a bad day or not celebrating too much on a good day. It's about doing things to make you happy and celebrating small wins. And then also knowing how to get out of a hole. I'll tell you, I've been in a hole a bunch of times in my last 25 years. And when you work your way out of a hole and you go from being down six figures to up and then back to your highs of your year, that's what builds self-esteem. Because then you could always do that. You know what to do. You know how to do it, and you set your mind to it. And with that said, hopefully today's an easy day. Make some money, and then have a great holiday weekend. I appreciate you guys.